Hey, what's up? I'm Dallas Wade, and just this last Thursday, I watched The Rise of Skywalker. I've had a few days to mull it over and process what I liked and what I didn't like, and stack it up with all of the other Star Wars movies, and so now I feel like I'm ready to actually officially announce my ranking of all of the Star Wars movies from worst to best. I've been a Star Wars fan since as far back as I even have memories. I was born in 1995, so I actually remember watching the original trilogy before the prequels even came out. And the prequels were one of the biggest parts of my childhood, but I will try to leave my bias out of this rankings. I'm going to try to leave nostalgia out of the picture, but I can't promise that it won't be some subconscious factor when I'm trying to rate these movies. I'm going to try to rate the Star Wars movies according to not only well done filmmaking, but also good storytelling and imaginative world building, because I think the galaxy and the creatures and the vehicles and the costumes and the guns and everything else are one of the best parts of Star Wars. So I think that's a big factor when trying to determine what's a good Star Wars movie. So anyway, without dragging this video out, let's just jump into my list of, I think there are 11 Star Wars movies, and I'm going to rank them from worst to best. So starting out at number 11, I would have to put The Last Jedi. Now this has nothing to do with it being full of social justice warrior stuff. I don't recall it having that, which I don't look out for it either. But I know a lot of anti-SJWs didn't like the movie for, I guess, because there was a lady with purple hair or something like that. I don't know. For me, the Last Jedi just wasn't a very good Star Wars movie. It did kind of seem to disrespect Star Wars and the Star Wars characters. Maybe that wasn't intentional, but I didn't like when Luke just threw the lightsaber. There were a lot of things I didn't like, but I'm not going to review these movies. I guess just summing it up, I have to put The Last Jedi in last place, just because it didn't do a lot of world building. There was that one saloon world where, I don't know, it was something about capitalism or something, I don't know, and then they rode the alien horses, and I don't know, there were a lot of plots that just didn't seem to go anywhere, and it kind of took some of the characters that I loved from The Force Awakens and just let them wander around aimlessly, and the movie just wasn't very good to me. I don't think it ever really dug into the lore of the Force or just the Star Wars galaxy. It was kind of boring, and what hurts it even more was I think it was the longest Star Wars movie ever, and it definitely feels like it, and I'm not one to ever complain about movies being long, but I don't know, The Last Jedi, it was just, the whole movie was about the spaceship being out of gas or something. I can't even remember everything. It just, nothing really stood out except for that one fight scene with the Imperial Guards, and when you try to rewatch that, it does fall apart every time you rewatch it because the choreography is really bad. I don't know. I don't want to talk about The Last Jedi anymore. It makes me sick thinking about it. Anyway, coming in at number 10 is Rogue One. Now, from here on up, I actually like all of the Star Wars movies. I think The Last Jedi is the only Star Wars movie I actually dislike. Rogue One is a really good movie, I think. It's kind of a military movie, and I don't like military movies, so, but that doesn't mean it's a bad movie. It's just not so much for me. But I do really like some of the world building in Rogue One. I like that you get to see some of the dirty, grimy parts of some of the Star Wars planets, kind of like you see in the Clone Wars show. There's a lot of stuff about Rogue One that I like. It doesn't really bother me that there's not Force or lightsabers through the majority of the movie. I don't think that hurts it. I think it definitely feels like Star Wars, and I really like how it ties into A New Hope. And I actually really like Grand Moff Tarkin. I know a lot of people complain that he was like, the CGI of his face was kind of in the uncanny valley, but I thought it was really incredible. And even Princess Leia at the end looked really good, even though, you could tell it was fake. I just really liked how it tied into A New Hope. And of course, the best part of the movie is the last scene with Darth Vader. That was really cool. So I like Rogue One. The only movie it's really better than is The Last Jedi, in my opinion, of course. But it's a good movie. It's just not better than any of the others. Coming in at number 9 is The Force Awakens. Yeah, I thought this would be higher up on the list, but I just can't really put it above anything else. There's a lot of stuff that I love about The Force Awakens, and I loved watching it in the theater. It is a movie that, for me, it's kind of hard to rewatch because you kind of realize that it didn't really do anything new, and there's not even a lot of world building. It's kind of a bunch of stuff you've seen before, and a lot of even the planets like Jakku. It's just Tatooine again, and the spaceships. It's just, oh, there's TIE fighters and there's X-wings, and oh look, it's the Millennium Falcon. It's just stuff you've seen before. It's good, and I really liked Rey. She was one of my favorite characters when I saw her in The Force Awakens. And she is one of my favorite characters. I don't think she's a Mary Sue, or even if she is, I don't care. I like Rey. She's a good character, and I really liked her in The Force Awakens. I liked all the characters. I liked Finn. I liked Poe, even though there wasn't a lot to him. I don't know. It was a really good movie. Kylo Ren, of course, one of my favorite parts, or he's the best part of the entire sequel trilogy. But yeah, The Force Awakens, it kind of has to be this low in the list just because it doesn't do a lot of new stuff, even though it is a really good movie. I mean, it's a really well-made movie, and the story is good. It's just that the story is also, it's a remake of A New Hope. There's not really any way of denying that. Coming in at number 8 is Solo. I think it's called Solo, a Star Wars story. I really liked this movie. I thought I was going to hate it. I thought I was going to hate the actor, but I don't know what his name is, and I'm not really going to bother looking it up. But I thought he did a really good job of being Han Solo, even though he doesn't look anything like Harrison Ford. But he did a good job. I liked Solo. There was a lot of world building. I thought it was cool that Darth Maul showed up towards the end. I really liked at the beginning where there's this giant slug-looking whatever kind of alien she is. She looked like one of those creatures, like the Geonosian Queen from the Clone Wars show. Kind of put me in mind of that. This whole Solo movie put me in mind of Clone Wars, because you kind of got to see the Star Wars universe on, kind of the normal person's level, kind of the gritty side. It kind of felt like a street level Star Wars movie, which is what I really like about the Clone Wars show, because you kind of get that same feeling from it. Solo was a really good movie. It definitely has a lot of problems, but it is a lot of fun. Like the Solo movie is not as well made as The Force Awakens, and the story is probably not as good either, but it just makes up for it with kind of the imagination and the world building, and you get to see all these crazy things, crazy species. I just really enjoyed the movie. I kind of have to personally put it above The Force Awakens, and anyway, that's where that's at. Coming in at number 7 on my list is Attack of the Clones. I know this should probably be at the bottom of the list because Attack of the Clones is a train wreck of a movie. The plot doesn't really make any sense. It's sort of just all over the place, and there's just some horrible scenes in it. But at the same time, it's one single redeeming quality is that it does more world building than almost any other Star Wars movie. I mean, you get the introduction of the clones, you get Count Dooku, you get Jango Fett, you get Dexter Jetster and Dexter's Diner. You get to see Yoda use a lightsaber. It does so much stuff, and I'm trying to not go into these movies and review them, but that's the one reason I would have to put Attack of the Clones this high on the list, just because it's so creative and imaginative, and there is a lot of stuff there to appreciate and enjoy, even though the movie is, in a lot of ways, in probably almost every way, Attack of the Clones is the worst Star Wars movie, almost objectively. But at the same time, there's so many things that I love that all come from Attack of the Clones. You get the introduction of super battle droids, you get so many new ships, so many new vehicles, so many new things, new planets, Camino, all kinds of stuff. But I'm sure I'm not going to convince any of you guys that Attack of the Clones is a good movie, and I'm not convincing myself, but this is just where it ends up on the list. Coming in at number 6 is Return of the Jedi. If the first half of this movie was as good as the second half, it would probably be the best Star Wars movie ever. Everything with Luke and Vader and the Emperor is some of the best Star Wars stuff that has ever been done. But the first half really hurts it. Even just the first sequence on, Jabba's sail barge, and just the stupid plan that Luke had, and his baseball bat of a lightsaber, and then the Ewoks and the battle on the forest moon of Endor. It has some of the cringiest and worst stuff in Star Wars, which brings it down a little bit, but it still has a lot of elements and some of the most emotional stuff in Star Wars that still makes it better than most of the other Star Wars movies. It's a really good movie, and I do enjoy watching it. There are just a lot of moments where I almost have to cover my eyes just because it's so unbearable. But it is a really good Star Wars movie, and it's one of my favorites. It comes in at number 6. Number 5 on my list is The Phantom Menace. I know a lot of people will question my sanity for putting it up this high, but The Phantom Menace is one of the most, I think it is the most underrated Star Wars movie of all time. For one, The Phantom Menace actually has a competent plot, which a lot of people seem to forget. You have Qui-Gon Jinn, you have young Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor for the first time, you have the Gungan City, which is one of the most fantastic fairy tale-like cities in all of Star Wars. You get the battle droids for the first time, you get the destroyer droids for the first time. There's all of these politics that don't make any sense, but they just kind of make the world seem a little bit more real than even in the original trilogy movies. And then you have Darth Maul and that final battle with the Duel of the Fates just blaring, and it's just the most epic thing in probably all of Star Wars. I don't know, The Phantom Menace is a movie that every time I rewatch it, I enjoy it more and more and more. I debated on putting it a lot higher on this list. I thought about putting it at the number 1 spot, but I do think it does have a few things that bring it down a little bit. I don't think Jar Jar is one of those things, but yeah, it's got some problems. It definitely has some problems, but it has so many good things that I think, personally, I think they far outweigh the bad stuff. Coming in at number 4 is The Rise of Skywalker. I really don't know what the public's opinion is of this movie. I haven't watched any reviews except I think Star Wars Theory's review shortly after I watched the movie myself, and I pretty much agreed with what he had to say. Coming out of the theater after watching The Rise of Skywalker, I was happier and more giddy than I probably have been coming out of the theater in maybe since 2005 when I walked out of Revenge of the Sith. It was amazing. I just was so happy with the movie. I loved almost everything that happened in the movie. Palpatine was the scariest thing that's ever been in Star Wars, and it was probably the best Palpatine we've ever gotten. He was horrifying. He was terrifying. I'm not going to spoil the movie, so I probably don't need to get into too much, but it was such a good movie. I really enjoyed it, and it felt like Star Wars. It really dipped into the juicy lore, which I've just wanted to see from Star Wars again, like the stuff you see in the Clone Wars show. It was so freaking good, and it made me so happy. I thought it was going to be horrible because I wasn't the biggest fan of The Force Awakens. I liked it, and I completely despised The Last Jedi. I just thought they were going to blow it with this movie. I had zero expectations going in, but I'm just happy thinking about the movie now. And Rey probably is up there being one of my favorite Star Wars characters. I really liked her. Poe was good. Finn was good. Kylo was, of course, good, which he has been in every movie. He was I think the only good part in The Last Jedi. But yeah, I have to put The Rise of Skywalker at my number 4 spot, which is not a bad spot. Pretty much everything from here on up is very, very, very close. It almost is hard to arrange them, but I'm definitely very confident in the way I've arranged them. I think it all fits. Coming in at number 3, for me personally, I'll say that again, is The Empire Strikes Back. I love the movie. Everything in the movie is amazing. You've got the AT-ATs, you've got Hoth, you've got Cloud City, you've got Luke fighting Vader for the first time, you've got the reveal of Vader being Luke's father. Spoiler alert, the movie's perfect. I almost don't even have to say anything more about it. Coming in at number 2 is A New Hope. I know most people put Empire above A New Hope, but for me, I just really like A New Hope because it does feel like, it feels like a standalone fairy tale, which is part of the reason George made this movie first, because it does stand alone. You could literally watch A New Hope without any knowledge of any other Star Wars and never watch any more Star Wars, and you would get it. You would appreciate it. You would enjoy it. It's a perfect movie. It's a perfect little fairy tale. It's fun. It does a lot of world building. It's just solid. So coming in at number 1 is Revenge of the Sith. I could go on forever talking about how much I love Revenge of the Sith in every freaking frame of the movie.
It's so dense. Every single image has so many things going on.
You've got General Grievous, you've got Mustafar and the Battle of the Heroes, Anakin versus Obi-Wan, and the greatest music that John Williams has ever composed. You have Yoda fighting Palpatine. You have the droid attack on the Wookiees. Every single line is a meme, and that doesn't hurt the movie. I can remember every single line, every single moment. I've watched Revenge of the Sith more than any other Star Wars movie, and it is better every time I watch it. So anyway, I'm trying not to review each of these movies. I just wanted to rank them and maybe put this out there and share my list, and I want to see your list ranking the movies from worst to best. Just leave it in the comments down below. Let me know why you disagreed with me, because I'm sure that you did. Let me know why Jar Jar is such a terrible character, because I've never heard that before. Anyway, this is not the kind of video I normally make or will ever make again. So thanks for watching, and May the Force be with you.